Welcome to the family with
Andy Barnard.
And I'm assuming Catherine and Alex will be here, but you know, they're always late.
Yes,
so.
we'll see.
Nothing new about them being late. There's no doubt about it.
No, there is not.
You know, I've never clicked on this thing. It's the 5 random facts for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I've never clicked on this.
We used to do those during the very early days of the show.
Oh, did we?
Yep. Like years ago.
I kind of always liked them. Yeah, so we did use it, but it was a long, long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some random facts for you for today. Commercial airline pilots are not allowed to have beards, and some airlines require pilots to be clean-shaven. It has to do with safety. They need to ensure that crew members' oxygen masks maintain a good seal in the event of an emergency, and facial hair can get in the way of that.
That makes sense.
I wondered about that. If you're in that kind of situation, why would you want a beard if you can't get a good seal on your mask there?
Well, yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. Simon Cowell's first job was for a studio in London where The Shining was filmed, and he polished Jack Nicholson's axe for the Here's Johnny scene.
Huh.
I didn't know Simon Cowell did that.
Axe polish.
There you go. The Pentagon wasn't supposed to be the permanent home of the Defense Department. It was built for World War II with the plan of turning it into an office or warehouse space after that, but it definitely did become the Defense Department's home. The term for space underneath a suitcase, you know what? The space underneath a staircase. I thought it said suitcase. Sometimes I was like, what?
Suitcase? Why the hell would that need a name?
I did not know this. I've never heard this term before in my life. The term for the space underneath a staircase. Alex is here. Mom's still not here. She's getting later every day. Okay, maybe you know this, Alex, because Andy and I don't think do know this.
What do I know?
The term for the space underneath a staircase. What's it called? I've never heard this term in my life.
I don't think I know this information.
Andy?
I have no idea.
Spandrel.
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 Spandrel. Spandrel. I've never heard that in my life that was called a spandrel.
No. I've always been like the closet under the stairs.
I'm going to do that from now on. Hey, would you look in the spandrel and see?
Everyone will be like, what are you talking about?
I've never heard that term used.
Yeah.
There are more people worldwide who've learned English as a second language
English
language as a second language than there are native speakers. Wait a minute, let me start that over again. There are more people worldwide who've learned English as a second language. I did it again. Than there are native speakers. What?
That makes sense. I mean, consider the population of China alone is probably more than the amount of English speakers in the world.
Yeah.
Like native speakers.
All of Europe pretty much speaks English. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like the native speakers would be America and Canada, the UK and Australia.
Right.
And like surrounding territories.
Yeah. But everywhere else, most people speak English.
Yeah, they learn it, but they don't speak it natively.
So yeah.
Okay, I got to just run this by you because you know that season, the summer vacation season is here, and I suppose all seasons are now vacation seasons, aren't they? Because people leave town to go to warmer weather or come up north to cooler weather or whatever they do.
Only when you're like 60 plus.
I think that's what that is.
Snowbirding. Yep.
Well, I suppose that's true. Yes. The top 15 naughty air travel habits in the States with the best and worst etiquette. Now, would you have a guess? I would have to guess that maybe New Jersey has the worst etiquette. And I love people from New Jersey, don't get me wrong. But would you get, as far as bad etiquette, who would you go with? A state?
New York.
You go in New York?
Yeah, generally when I think New Yorkers, I think bad etiquette.
Bad behavior.
Okay, so we got New York and New Jersey. Those are the two we kind of went with. Everyone has seen the footage of people throwing ridiculous tantrums on airplanes. They're still rare overall, they're saying. I don't think I've ever seen anybody throw a tantrum on an airplane.
No, I've flown many times and I've never had a problem.
No, I never have. Alex?
Nope, never. Knock on wood.
Oh, good. See, there you go. But every flight has small-time offenders of airplane manners. In a new poll, 78% of Americans say air travel etiquette has worsened over the past. Well, etiquette in general has worsened in the past few years.
Yeah.
People literally. Well, I mean, there's sometimes you will see somebody coming your way as you're going through a doorway, and you wait and hold the door for them. They don't even bother to look at you, much less thank you. That's kind of Nasty, isn't it? Don't you think?
Nasty.
I mean, somebody's there helping you out and you know, trying to be polite and you don't even acknowledge them. That's kind of weird to me. I don't know. Maybe whatever. So in any case, here's the deal. They say air travel etiquette has worsened over the past few years. These are things like, I'm going to start at the bottom and go up from this. Yeah, you know, I've heard both of you complain about this one.
Oh dear.
People who bring strong smelling food onto the airplane. I've heard you both complain about that. It is nasty. They bring this really powerful smelling food on the airplane. Do they know they're doing it?
I don't think they care.
Yeah, maybe they don't.
I feel like people don't realize
that it smells like that.
That it, you know, you don't think, you just think, I'm going to bring this tuna sandwich because I like tuna sandwiches and that sounds good for lunch. You don't think I'm going to be in this tube in the sky and tuna has a strong smell.
It does.
And people might not like it. You know,
I suppose so.
I was on an airplane once with Michael Fitzgibbons, your godfather, both of you.
Familiar. And
this actually happened. And I could not believe this guy did it. So Fitz and I were in the very front row of the airplane, just, you know, sitting side by side. And all of a sudden, about 15 minutes into the flight, this pair of bare feet stick between his seat and my seat and rested them on the armrest in our row. So not only, it says here, go barefoot on the plane. Well, this was not only going barefoot on an airplane, this was also shoving his bare feet right into your basically shoulder level.
That's gross.
Like, what are you doing? Why would you even think of doing that?
I don't think they think much at all.
We're talking about bad or naughty, they call it, travel habits. Number 13 is wearing strong cologne or perfume. I don't think I've ever run into that.
It's basically the same thing as strong food.
I've definitely
it is true.
Walked by people that I've been like, whoo.
It's a lot of perfume.
It's a little cologne.
Oh, men. So it's men.
It's hardly ever a woman.
Really?
Always men.
That's older women do. When I smell like very strong smell coming from a woman, it's usually an old woman who's wearing a lot of perfume.
But typically it's men.
That's an old man thing too, or a young man thing.
Just some men wear way too much cologne.
Well, here's what I don't understand. So do they put it on their face?
I don't know what they do. Because
I spray my cologne on my upper chest, so it's covered by a shirt anyway. So even if I did put too much on, you'd never smell it.
I thought you were supposed to drink it.
Yeah, drinking
pour it
cologne.
On your head.
Yeah, no problem.
You're supposed to do the spray, delay, and walk away.
Oh yeah, that's what I used to do. You just walk through the cloud. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Walk through the cloud. I think I learned that from Will and Grace.
Have you ever run into this problem? Number 12, a problem, naughty travel habit, drinking too much.
Honestly, no, I haven't.
You have never seen it?
Well, if I did, I didn't know it. I'm sure people have drank too much around me, but it's like generally, airplanes are so, they're so dry.
Yeah.
It's like if you get really drunk, you're just going to pass out.
Yeah, that's true. That is so. So, Alex, you've never seen it either? A guy drinking too much or a woman drinking too much on the airplane?
I don't think so, no.
I used to back when I worked at Capitol Records, you'd have these flights that were kind of like, at 6 o'clock at night or at 7 o'clock in the morning. So it was, the beginning or the end of the workday.
Yeah.
So then that 6 o'clock, those 6 o'clock flights at night, like say from Chicago or Atlanta or wherever, you would see people getting hammered on those flights.
Actually, I feel like when we would go to Vegas.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
There would be like groups of men or groups of women that would be going for like bachelorette parties, and they'd be drinking on the plane and be super loud.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
Number 11, pushing or kicking the seat in front of you.
Yeah.
That's happened to me, and I had to mention to him.
That is children, yep.
No, I had an adult doing it.
Oh, that's weird.
And I finally had to stand up and say, you need to stop kicking the seat here. You do what you do, but I'm not going to sit here and get kicked in the back the entire flight. Ignoring the seatbelt sign, you can't do that. It's illegal. That's against the law. Did you know that? To ignore a seatbelt sign on an airplane?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a federal law.
Federal law.
Yeah.
How about hanging or resting your legs in the aisle? Yeah, don't do that either.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
I sometimes will quickly straighten my legs out and put them in the aisle.
Crack your knees a little bit.
Just to like.
Yeah, but no one's coming. You always make sure that no one's coming down the aisle.
Yes.
That's totally different. Using both armrests if you're not in the middle seat. Yeah, I love that. The fact they use both armrests so you can't use any of it.
Well, even if you are in the middle seat. I mean, so what? The middle seat gets both, and then the sides just get the one.
Get nothing.
Might be a good idea. It's a good take.
Makes you wonder.
Lying down in the terminal. Well, what do they mean by that?
Oh, like on the seats.
Oh, like sleeping across like 3 or 4 seats or something. 3 seats probably.
You know, if you got a nap, you got a nap. I don't know.
I would think.
What can you do?
You're probably right.
It is what it is.
Leaving garbage in the seat pocket. I don't know why you do that either. They come and collect the trash at the end of every flight. Why would you leave it in the seat pocket? That makes no sense.
I feel like I probably have before.
Really?
Just because, if the people didn't come, I got a bottle of water. I just finish it at the end of the flight and then they don't come through again. And what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Carry it out.
Yeah, carry it out with you, throw it away.
Sometimes I do. If I've got room in my bag.
Yeah.
I'm going to put number 4 up to number 1 because I just hit number 4 is the next one.
That's the worst.
And I'm going to, I would think by far. Number 3, not putting your phone on airplane mode. People are talking on their phones now on airplanes.
You get yelled at if you do.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You're not supposed to use your phone like that on a plane.
Well, I thought you could now. People told me you could do it.
You can use the Wi-Fi now, but you can't use cell data or call.
When at the beginning of the flight, they're always like, don't use your phones for calling people. Like you can use them for the internet, but you can't talk on your phones or do video chat.
No, I suppose. No question about it. Number 2, reclining your seat on the plane without asking. You used to be able to do that because the seats weren't as close to one another.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, now they're right on top of it. So, yeah, if you're going to recline now, you're going to have to ask because back in the day, you didn't have to.
I always look.
Yeah.
If I'm going to recline my seat, I usually don't because it's like, what?
I never do.
What does this do?
I know. You get like an extra 2 inches of
like why bother?
Back room or whatever. It doesn't help with the leg room at all.
It doesn't help with the leg room at all. Yeah. But if there's a kid behind me or something, then sometimes I'll be like, why not? But
they don't need the room.
Not.
No, they don't need the room. You're absolutely right. All right. This was the number 1. It's now pushed to the number 2 because number 4 became number 1. Putting bags on seats in the terminal. Why the hell you would do that? So I get a seat and my bag gets a seat and nobody has any place to sit.
Well,
Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah, people, I don't know.
You seen them do it?
Yeah, I think so.
If it was not super busy, I would put my bag on a chair.
Well, yeah,
but if it was like people everywhere, then no, I wouldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 1, and I am not making this one up. The number 1 we're talking about in a new poll, 78% of Americans say air travel etiquette has worsened over the past few years. I would definitely agree with that, by the way. This, again, air travel etiquette has worsened over the years because of what was number 4 is now number 1, farting in your seat.
You got to.
Well, I mean, yeah, what can you do, I suppose?
I've experienced it. The guy across the aisle farted in his seat, and it ain't pretty because it takes a while for that air to get sucked out of the airplane.
It doesn't get sucked out of the airplane.
It gets recycled, doesn't it?
Yep.
It just gets recycled, so you're going to get the whiff of whatever you had for dinner last night. Why on earth would you ever go to the men's room at least to lay down a bunt, don't you think?
Just going to leave your seat to fart.
Well, I don't want you farting in your seat.
Effort.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
Not all farts smell horrible.
Oh, they don't?
No.
Fair enough.
I don't know any good ones.
Well, not good, but...
Yeah, not good.
I suppose that's probably true. I'm going to touch on this. We touched on it on the morning show. I'm going to touch on it just briefly. Did you know in 2 separate polls, the happiest cities in America, in one poll, Minneapolis came in number 18, but in the other poll, it came in number 1 as the happiest city in America.
I don't know about that.
I don't either. This town has gotten vicious with
maybe
politics.
20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago. Politics has driven everybody off the deep end. They're so mean now. It is unbelievable.
Yep. Well, Minneapolis, though, is one of those cities where people like to make sure everyone knows how happy they are, even if they're not.
Yeah,
it's a very like, true. I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, and don't think I'm not happy, because that'll bother me a lot. So
yeah, it's kind of sad, don't you think?
Yes, it is.
I don't know. It's just, you would think there's like, really? Do you have to really do that? And just, it's depressing. That's the only way I can put it. Is just very, very depressing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Did you see this new corporate tax thing they put on the docket?
No.
Corporate tax rate spurs a political fight with over $1 trillion at stake. Remember when $1 million was a lot of money?
Yep.
And now to have $1 million just means you own a house and 2 cars.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, pretty much true. Corporate tax rate spurs political fight with over $1 trillion at stake. The two parties are trying to turn the 21% rate in opposite directions, with each percentage point worth more than $130 billion over a decade in tax revenue. 21% interest. Well, I do know that most credit card rates now are about, what, 24%?
At least.
Are they more than that?
No, credit card rates have been horrible forever.
God, just pay off your card every month, right?
Yes, absolutely. I have never used a credit card where I didn't have it on auto pay at the end of the month.
Yeah, you got to do it, because that's
the interest rate. I mean, if you're paying that much interest on any amount of money, it's going to be impossible to catch up on.
I would think so. I mean, do they eventually just go under, or what happens?
I guess they go bankrupt eventually.
I guess. I mean,
once you go bankrupt, good luck getting credit ever again.
But credit cards, do all of them charge right around the 24-25% rate?
Yeah, I think so.
How did they ever get away with doing that?
I honestly don't know. You would think usury laws would
make
it so you can't do that, but nope, they've been doing that for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's I haven't seen one the headline like this since probably 1969, something like that.
Okay.
France's soccer team tackles a new opponent, the far right.
Oh my God!
Oh, dear Lord.
I didn't know there was a far right in France. Did you?
I don't think there really is.
You know,
everything's the far right to the news.
Yeah, that's true. Everything bad is the far right, according to the news.
Everything is the far right.
As France contends with the rise of the national rally, Les Bleus are using the European Championship as a platform against Marine Le Pen's party. Well, I don't understand this. I don't get it. The French national soccer team landed in Germany this month as a favorite to win the European Championship, led by one of the best strikers in the world, fresh off a glitzy transfer to Real Madrid.
Got to get those strikers.
You got to get the striker. You need strikers.
Strikers are very important.
I just don't understand why on earth this would be. I don't get it.
It's fear mongering. Very basic fear mongering.
Why do people fall for that so easily and so readily, that if you're on the far left or you're the far right or whatever you are, you're not in the middle, people are just terrified of this, that, and the other thing. It's like, what are you talking about? Why do you even care? People
need something to hate and be afraid of.
I suppose. Is that because they're nervous and they have certain fears they don't want to confront, so therefore it's your fault that they feel fearful?
I think for a lot of people that's how it is, yes. But for most people, it's just every group needs an enemy.
Why do they, though?
Because that's just how we're programmed, is you need an enemy. So if you don't have an enemy, you're going to go find one.
I just don't understand why you would want an enemy. Don't you want to just like, hey, listen, either don't care about me or we'll be friends or whatever, but to flat out hate you.
Well, that attitude did not work for the first 100,000 years or so of human history.
Right.
I mean, you know, if you got two groups of cavemen, one of them wants to kill the others and the other just wants to be left alone, the one who wants to kill the others is going to take over. Because wanting to be left alone is not it's not a valid way of living when there are hostile people around you.
And people are hostile to try to what? Show power, show they're tough guys. Why are people like that?
Well, usually it's to acquire resources, just as it's always been.
So it's all about money again?
Usually money or clout.
It's just amazing, because clout is money.
Yeah, and money is clout.
Everything is about money now. It's kind of disgusting. Well, maybe it always has been, and I just didn't notice as much as I do now.
I think so.
But I mean, honest to God, it's like, would you just settle down and would you calm down with the money thing? First of all, you're never going to be worth $220 billion like some of these people are. You know, there's going to be the world's first trillionaire. I would guess that Hunyuk that runs Russia, he's probably a trillionaire already.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, because he's got all the money.
Yeah, we'll never know how much money he actually has. No. But it's also like, how do you define it? It's like, you know, if you're the dictator of a country, is all the money in that country yours, technically?
Well, I guess. I mean, that's the way they look at it. That's the way they do look at it. So I don't know. But he just got reelected again. Boy, those elections were really close, weren't they?
88%.
88% of the votes.
Very popular.
Okay.
Do you think they made up the other 12% that it actually never happened? They just made it up to make it look good?
No, they have an election. They just, you know, if the wrong guy wins, there's going to be a problem and everyone knows it.
Oh, this is the story I wanted to find because I knew you guys were coming in today. Obviously, Andy and Alex are coming in on this day, but I think this is a smart idea. I want to get your generation's take on it as well. U.S. Surgeon General calls for warning labels on social media platforms. What do you think of that?
It seems a little odd. Surgeon General?
Yeah.
The U.S. Surgeon General called for it. Platforms were contributing to a mental health crisis among young people, Dr. Vivek Murthy says.
Well, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
So I think the Surgeon General doing it's a little weird.
So what happens to these? Why do they get so stressed out by all this?
It's mostly kids.
So it's taking shots at each other?
Yeah, kids they don't understand that, you know, not everything is real.
I suppose that's
not everything is important more specifically. I remember when I was a kid thinking the dumbest things mattered.
Like what?
I don't know, just like what random strangers were talking about or what they thought. It's like, you know, if they liked something you don't like, then, you know, it's Sega versus Nintendo, Xbox versus PlayStation, that sort of thing. Pokemon versus Digimon. It's been a thing forever.
That's just the deal. That's the way it goes, and that's all there is to it. Yeah, I don't know. I just, you got to have an enemy, huh? You just have to have an enemy.
Yep, exactly.
I don't really understand it, but that's just me. I don't, whatever. So any news out there that I should know about? You guys pick up on anything? Do you guys watch the news in the morning when you get up?
Nope.
I never watch the news.
No, I've never watched the news.
Oh, you just don't ever watch the news ever?
No.
I finally have learned to stay away from Fox and CNN. I just can't watch it. It pisses me off every time I watch either one of them.
Yeah, because they'll do that.
First of all, their anchors are so incredibly arrogant. It is unbelievable. Why do they want to comport themselves that way? Why do they want to put forward this message that I'm an arrogant dink? Why do they want to do that? I don't get it.
Stupid people mistake arrogance for intelligence.
Oh, is that what it is, really?
Yep.
They think that arrogance is intelligent. See, to me, it's the exact opposite. I can be very honest. If you're an arrogant ass, you got no clue what the real world's all about, do you?
Well, it's ignorance.
Yeah, it is ignorance more than anything. I just, none of that stuff has ever made any sense to me. Just have this attitude, get this, let me just
Well, it's a shortcut for, like, you know, so like when you go into a situation you don't know anything about, and there's this one guy who is acting like he knows everything and runs the place, you're going to assume that he's competent. And that's what the whole arrogance thing is. They're faking
fake it till you make it.
Yep, exactly. They're basically acting like they're the head honcho, even though they're not. And most people fall for it because it's an easy shortcut.
Honestly.
Yep.
Jesus,
Well, I mean, if you think about like TV shows about geniuses, they're almost always jerks because people think being a jerk makes you smart.
Yeah.
I mean, Dr. House, he was a jerk.
Yeah, that's true.
Sherlock, he was a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
What other ones? Bones isn't really a jerk. She's just kind of like, I don't know.
Unaware.
Yeah. She's got a bit of
unaware.
A social issue.
Yes. She's autistic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. I know I got to ask you guys this question because, again, I went out for my walk yesterday after that downpour. You know, the little circle out there behind where the basketball court, the tennis court is, and all that stuff in our neighborhood. You know what we're talking about. You go out there.
Oh, yeah.
You go around that circle.
Yeah.
A guy in front of me was walking. I am not kidding you. There was a flooded area, but you know, usually flooded area.
Oh, there's flooded areas, all right.
Yeah.
This guy, as he kept walking, the water almost got up to his knees.
There's a picture in our neighborhood of a.
It's like, what?
It's not a cul-de-sac. It's just like a bend in the road, where the kids are playing in the water in the road.
Really, in the road,
in swimsuits. Up to their waists because it's so deep in the street.
Oh my gosh! Well, and then it's
no one's going to drive. No one's going to drive when the water's that deep. So it's like, hey, why not?
Yeah, then it's going to rain all week, so it's going to get even deeper.
It's going to get. Yeah, I went up on our roof yesterday and
you did?
Yeah, I had to. I took a leaf blower to the gutters.
Oh, really?
Otherwise, our house was going to detach from the foundation.
So it's just what are the leaves in the gutters are blocked? Because,
dead leaves and whatever gross crap is up there.
Yeah,
I suppose.
Oh yeah, here you go, Trevor. Good one. Tony Stark. Here's another asshole genius trope.
There you go.
Is that Tony Stark? Who's that again?
Iron Man.
Oh, Iron Man. Okay.
Yep.
Whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Do you think we'll ever get past all this stuff, or is it just are we going to get worse instead of better?
I don't know.
I mean,
we don't have answers for these questions.
No, we don't.
How was your Father's Day?
It was magnificent. Oh, yeah. Well, are you asking Andy or me?
Both of you. You're both fathers.
Andy,
I am now.
And you have been for 2.5 years.
That's true.
That's pretty.
I haven't really. I don't know. My first Father's Day, Ethan was like, what, 6 months old?
Yeah,
so it's like,
yeah.
At that age, they're barely even children. They're just kind of like there.
Yeah.
The second one, he wasn't talking yet. This is the first one where it's like he feels like he's able to participate in the whole thing.
Involved.
Yeah, because he can do things now. At the 2 is like the age where they start becoming people.
Yeah.
You know, they got their likes and everything before that. But
yeah. And then 4 is when they like.
Yeah, the end of the toddler years.
Really, you can actually see like, okay, this kid's going to be this way.
Yep.
Because 2 and 3, they're just trying to stir the pot and figure things out.
Yeah, he sure is doing that right now.
And then once they're 4, there's more like of their actual personality that starts coming out.
Yeah, I got to run something by you guys. And I've probably talked about this to you before, but it's really gotten to a point now where it's really a big part of my life. First of all, it did not happen with my grandfather or my father in that case. But you know how much I love the fact that the 2 of your kids, the 2 of you, Andy and Alex's kids, there you go. It's a good way to put it. I am so close to all 3 of those kids. It's unbelievable. And it's not like I'm going to make these kids like me. It didn't start out that way at all. But Fawn, Sage, and Ethan always come over and give me a hug at the beginning. At the end, they come over and torture me. They love to do that. All 3 of them love to torture.
Well, you torture them.
So. I do not torture them. How do I torture them?
Just constantly.
The play fighting
And stealing their stuff and hiding it.
Hiding their stuff is one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
But no, you asked me about my Father's Day. We were hanging around with Andy and his family at the first half of the day, and then we hung around with you and your family the second half of the day. Had a wonderful time in both situations. I don't know. Like I said, it means so. Do you see that many other grandchildren that are buddies of their grandfather?
Yeah.
Does that happen a lot?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it does. But it's just it's not something I worked on or whatever, but I just happen to, I love both of you. That's a big part of it. And then when you have children, the kids came up. And again, I know this sounds like a grandfather thing, but I don't think I'm exaggerating. You got some of the cutest kids I've ever seen. All 3 of them are just cute as hell. Are all little kids cute now?
No.
Oh, that's really nice. No, they're not.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, it's true.
You see some kids that you're like, oh boy.
Yep. But I mean, there's a Seinfeld episode about that.
Oh, really?
Yep.
They did an episode about homely children.
Well, yeah, it's like, you know, this couple has a baby and they think it's the cutest thing ever, and then you go see it and you're like, oh.
What was the? I very specifically remember some episode of something where there was a baby in a shopping cart at a store, and it kept staring at somebody, and it was like a really scary looking baby.
Oh, really?
And I can't remember what it was. I don't know.
No, but it's so
like
damn cool.
They kept on like turning the corner, and the baby was there, just like staring at.
Oh my
God!
God!
Just like it's like really unfortunate looking baby.
I would not care for that. I got to be honest with you. But no, I wanted to tell both of you, because I've talked to your mom about it a number of times. I just love the fact that all three of my grandchildren and I get along really, really well. We love each other. It's very obvious that we do. That didn't used to happen. At least in my family, it did not have. Both my grandfathers going to get in a rat's ass whether I existed or not. They just didn't care.
Yeah.
So what happened? Is it because they didn't care that I care so much? Is that the answer?
I don't know. I feel like the family dynamic and like men in general, because it's like you think about everybody that's a millennial. Generally, I'd say 8 times out of 10, their grandfather was like kind of a crabby, detached alcoholic.
No, probably true.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
probably true.
Yeah.
Most of
all those wars.
Yeah. Most of my friends' grandpas were detached alcoholics.
I mean, if you think about it, they were constantly being drafted every 10 years for like, what, 80 years? It's, well, 40.
Yeah. So
it's 2 generations of just like ruined men.
Yeah. And then, oh no.
Why are you yawning on the show?
I'm sorry. Friday night, I did not sleep well at all because I hit a deer with my car.
Oh, that's right. How's that turn out? We can move on to. So anyway, I'm not going to, dwell on it or whatever, but I love the fact that I'm so close to all 3 and soon to be 4 of my grandchildren. It just means the world to me.
Do you have a name picked out yet, Andy?
No, it's going to be probably another 6-7 years till we
figure out a name.
Name it.
I had it nailed.
You had
name him, I suppose.
You had a name picked out for Ethan pretty early on.
Relatively, but the problem is it was the only one we liked for boys.
I know. The boy naming thing
we used our one boy name.
The boy naming thing is tough.
What's wrong with Ethan?
Nothing.
Well, then what's wrong with Ian? Ian and Ethan. What's wrong with that?
That would be so confusing.
Why?
The amount of times that they'd be like, Ethan.
Yeah.
Like,
already like,
if they're drinking, maybe.
Well, sometimes Ethan's Daisy and sometimes Daisy's Ethan,
Well,
you got to have something that's different enough that you don't. Because I don't know that I've ever called Fawn Sage or Sage Fawn.
No, I wouldn't imagine.
Like Andy and Alex, we always had Al Andy and Alex.
Yeah, because we both
from
start
mom.
With Al.
Well, your own mother used to Al Andy.
Well, yeah.
Exactly.
I think she called me Atalanta once, one of her horses. Yeah, you just have to have different enough names.
Is that why she stayed home today to get extra sleep?
But names that work together. That's another thing, because you say them together so often. And then what goes with your last name and all that. It's complicated.
How about, I suppose Nathan would not be good because then Ethan and Nathan are too close together.
Name. Why are you choosing the same name?
I'm just saying you might maybe want something in the same ballpark, maybe.
No.
Let's have Ethan, Nathan, and Ian.
That's what you'll do. Well, that's like, there are some families that go to our school that have like very similar named children. And I'm just like, why would you?
Well, that's how Dad's family was.
Yeah.
What?
Todd, Tony, Troy.
Terry, Tom, Todd, Tony, and Troy.
Yeah. I don't know how you don't mess those up.
I don't know.
She did, believe
many
me.
times. Yeah.
She did. There's no, well, also Terry was 22 years older than Troy.
That's crazy.
That's true. That's a big gap.
Quite a gap there, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah. And it was supposed to be Roberta and Rebecca.
Oh, yeah.
But then some friend of my mother's named her daughter Rebecca, which I couldn't care. Like, you would think it'd be with him for the rest of your life. You'll probably never see him again.
We know somebody that has a child named Sage that's older. And we're not like super close with these people.
Right.
But I asked. I was like, listen, the only boy name that we really like is Sage. And I don't know what else to do. And I don't want to not name my kid this because we know you. And the mom was like, I don't care. The dad was
still rare enough that it's not going to be like, every kid in my class is named Sage.
Yeah. And the dad was weird about it. He was like, I don't like it. And I was like, well, I don't really care what you think. I was asking to be nice, but
I'm going to do it anyway.
I'm going to name my kid what I'm going to name my kid.
So you guys really don't like any of the names like, Robert or Timothy or names like that? You didn't want those names?
I mean,
Sage's middle name is Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It's taken.
It's already taken.
Well, and like
Tim was too close to Tom.
Yeah. Yes. And that's Tim.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like every name reminds me of something. Let's get your opinion on this.
Dan was the worst at that. Every single time I'd come up with a name, he'd be like, I went to 6th grade with a kid with that name and he was a real jerk. I'm like, really?
For me, it's not even like that. It's just like for me, it's not even like, I have a negative connotation. It's just like it reminds me of something. I don't like that.
Okay. Yeah. What's your query?
Melissa's dad said we should use the name Patrick. And I said it reminds me and every other millennial of
Patrick Star.
Yep, exactly.
And also
he's like, what's Patrick Star? I'm like, SpongeBob. Every kid my age or person my age
that's right.
is going to think about SpongeBob.
I like the name Patrick. I do, but I would be like, are you Irish?
You have to be Irish to be Patrick, yeah.
And do you want him to be called Pat?
And Pat's an old
That's a lesbian's name.
Or that.
What?
Or whatever Pat is from Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah, Pat from Saturday Night Live.
Hey, it's Pat.
Which nobody knows. Yeah, I do. Like if I met a kid named Patrick, I wouldn't be like, oh, like Patrick Star. Like that wouldn't be the first thing that would come to my mind. But since you said, what do you think of when I say Patrick?
But I am absolutely like that with every name.
Yeah, Dan was like that. I would come up with names and it was just like girl names. Not really. Like hardly any.
We have several girl, but we're not having a girl.
Yeah, so that doesn't help. I know. Nope. Sage's backup name was Forrest. And I was like, it's okay, but Forrest I don't love it. And Dan was like, but Forrest Gump.
Exactly.
I was like, but I was like, who was awesome?
Well, true.
What's wrong with Forrest Gump? I was like, he was a fantastic guy. And Dan was like, well, people think about him. I'm like, great.
I
hope they do.
And we can't have
Forrest Gump was fantastic. Like it would be one thing if it was like, oh, well, yeah, that guy from that movie was a real dope or something. Like, no, Forrest Gump was a great movie.
Naming your kid Gargamel.
Wonderful guy.
Gargamel. Well, see, for us, for your mom and I, it was very, very easy because Andy was named after Andy Fisher, my best friend in the world. And then Alexandra is Catherine's middle name. So Andy and Alex worked out beautifully, don't you think? I mean, it was very, very easy for us.
Easy.
We had no problem. You know why I was named Thomas?
Because they thought you were twins.
Because they thought I was twins. They picked up, I was so big. Like I said, I was almost 2 feet tall. I was like, I think 22 inches long or something like that.
Sage was also a giant baby.
Weighed 11 pounds. So they picked up 2 separate heartbeats. They weren't. They were one, was a pulse, I suppose. And the other was a heartbeat. But so I was named.
It was probably your heartbeat and your mom's heartbeat. It's just they didn't.
Maybe.
Either her heartbeat was really, really fast.
It was the 50s.
Yeah, maybe
it was the 50s, very early 50s.
She took some cough medicine that day, which had cocaine and meth in it.
Exactly.
Toots? Yeah, I can see Toots doing coke. Yeah,
no, back then every medicine had everything.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Methadone and
everything. Yeah, it was just meth and laudanum. Everything was just a tincture of those two things.
Oh, that's why. That's why all those names like that they work. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, and Ethan. Here's the thing: like when you name your first kid Fawn, you're not going to name your next kid like Steve. Like Bill. It's just not going to happen. And so you have to go with what sounds good with the name, what sounds good with your last name, what you want to repeat 8 million times, what kind of goes with the theme. Like Ethan is a common name, but not like Chris, Mike.
No, that's true.
That kind of name. So it's common, but it's kind of newer. Like you hear more Ethans in the last 10 years than you ever have,
absolutely.
probably.
He was number 13, I think.
Yeah. It's like, like the name like Sophia. There's tons of kids named Sophia, but like you didn't really hear about Sophias.
Nope.
Not that often.
Before 15 years ago.
The only one I can think of is
there's
a character from Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis.
There you go.
Sophia.
Every once in a while you would hear about a Sophia, but
now it's every girl is named Sophie.
Or like Ava,
Yep. Yeah, Evelyn is a huge one.
Yeah, Evelyn, Olivia, Harper, all those. Where it's like Ethan, I feel like it's kind of along the lines of those names, where they're more popular now.
Well, it's definitely a generational name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why people, especially millennial parents, are trying to bring back Abner or whatever the hell.
Abner?
Probably not Abner, but you know what I mean, the old person names.
I loved old lady names for Fawn.
Like what?
Agnes?
Agnes and Fern were her original 2 names. And then if Sage was going to be a girl, it was going to be
Primrose.
Hazel was one of. I know Hazel was one of them.
Hazel's an old lady name for sure.
And then I love old lady names, love them. But yeah, it ended up being Fawn.
So the old lady names we could have gone with. You could have been named from my family, Edith.
Oh, Edith was was high on our list for Fawn.
Makes me think of All in the Family.
Edith.
Makes me think of Edith Piaf.
Well, what about my mother's mother?
What?
Wilhelmina.
Dan's college girlfriend's mom was named Wilhelmina.
So you weren't going with that one?
No, because I was like, I always thought that was a pretty name, and I was like, oh, we could call her Willa
or Minnie.
And I really liked the name. I know it's because you just have it mispronounced your entire life, but I remember I had a friend who had a riding instructor whose name was Elsabeth.
Elspeth, yeah.
And I was like, I think that name's so pretty, but I'm like, everyone would be like, Elizabeth.
Yep.
Well, they also think you're just doing a combination of Elizabeth and Frozen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, like Elsa.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you call her Elsa, which you would, then that would just, now your daughter's name is Elsa.
Yeah. Which
you don't want to do that to her.
I don't want to do that. She was born in, the house that I gave birth to both my children had an Elsa room, and I can't remember the other room. I think they were born in the Elsa room, though.
The Elsa room?
Yeah.
Elspeth is what? It's not, because there is Elizabeth and there's Elspeth.
Yeah.
Well, what is Elspeth? Is it a particular country?
I'm sure.
I have no idea.
It's Danish.
Oh, it's Danish.
It's Danish form of Elizabeth.
I did not know that.
I am surprised, honest to God. We got 2 minutes left. See if you can keep her from yawning.
2 minutes? Why are we ending it?
We have
40.
8 minutes, technically.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Yeah.
45?
Did we end it? What are we ending early?
Well, we usually do 55 minutes, but, we can do it.
We do?
Hour and a half.
We're only at 42 minutes.
Okay. So you
started late.
There you go.
Hit a deer on with
yes.
Oh, I do. We do want to hear that story.
We had quite the weekend. So Sage's birthday was Thursday. Quite the 4 days. Sage's birthday was Thursday, so we ran around like maniacs. I have a recommendation.
Okay.
Don't hit a deer.
Don't hit a deer.
That'd be good.
No, we went to Big Stone Mini Golf in Minnetrista, and it is fantastic. It was so much freaking fun. It's like a Big Stone Mini Golf.
On Thursday you went there?
On Sage's birthday, because he was like, couldn't decide what he wanted to do for his birthday, wanted all these things. He's one of the most indecisive people of all time, because everything just sounds so fun to him that he just can't choose. And so we went to the Big Stone Mini Golf, and it's a sculpture garden, and all of the holes have like sculptures in them.
Oh yeah.
Like the last hole, you hit it up, and then you hit it onto a ramp, and then it goes into this tiny little river, and then it takes the ball and then drops it down.
Really?
Yeah. And there's one where you're in an upside down boat sculpture, but you play it's so fun. It's cash or check only, just so you know. And bring mosquito spray, bring bug spray.
If you go outside your house this year,
Fawn got eaten alive.
Yeah.
And there's goats. And there's an ox.
You mean real goats?
Real goats.
Not on the course.
No, they're they have their own goat area.
Oh, they have a goat area.
There's an ox. There's there's chickens. And then there's just a ton of land that just has tons of different sculptures on it. And there's tables. You could bring a little picnic. Highly recommend for a summer activity.
Well, I'm telling you.
We did that on Thursday. And then we went to a dance competition because a girl from our dance studio, blah, blah, blah. And so that was like a fun day. And then Friday was my father-in-law's funeral. And then that was a very long day because we had the visitation, the funeral, the luncheon, the burial. And then we all went to my mother-in-law's place to hang out. Driving home at 9:15. One deer runs in front of the car. And I barely missed it. And I was about to say that was close. And then boom.
Second one.
The second one. And like Subaru invented eyesight, like it beeps and stops when something comes in front of you. It didn't even detect it.
Really?
Because it literally just launched itself directly in front of my car in a split second.
Where was this?
It was driving at night.
Well, I know it was driving at night, but where did it happen?
I don't want to tell you that.
Oh, you don't? Why not?
Because it's...
But was it by a forest? Or?
Yes.
Oh, well,
it's by a forest. Yeah, they just jumped out of long prairie grass and right in front of my car. And the front of my car is super messed up. And we're bringing it in today at 3:15.
Oh, you're taking it in today?
Yep, I sobbed for probably 45 minutes.
You love that car.
And I hit a deer.
Well,
it fell over and then got back up and ran off. And Dan was like, "It's fine, it's fine." And I was like, "It got hit by a car."
Probably not fine.
I was like, "It's probably got some broken stuff, and it's probably going to get eaten by coyotes."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "What can you do? You know, it is what it is, and the deer population is really high anyway." And he was like trying to be helpful, and I was like, just crying. And then the next morning, May came up on the bed and I was petting her and I was like, "You kind of look like a little deer." And I cried again.
Here we go.
Yeah, she does have a deer-like frame.
She totally does. And I was like petting her side because I hit the deer on the side. I was like,
I only hit one deer in my life.
I've never yet.
This was my first one.
I was driving from our house out in Dayton to KQRS when it used to be on 917 North Lilac Drive. Or was it 914? No, it's 917.
I don't know.
But in any case, I was driving into work one day and I was going down the road. And so I'm doing 55, all the rest of it on the highway. And this deer ran out on the highway. It almost made it past my car. I tried to lock him up, but I hit the very back of the deer. And I will never forget, it went spinning. It was a big deer too. It went spinning around all the way into the ditch on the other side of the road. It just kept spinning.
Weird.
I just clipped it. I doubt that deer died because I just kind of clipped it and it sent it spinning around. So,
well, my thing is I was going really slow because I had slowed down for the first deer.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't driving very fast. And like when we hit it, it wasn't like a big, like none of us jolted forward or anything like that. So I didn't hit it super hard. But I mean, my car has significant damage.
Oh, it has big time damage. I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. And like, even though all the damage is to the front, like driver's side bumper, I can't open my driver's side door more than 3 inches.
Really?
There's no damage on the side.
But it just got crushed back.
But like, yeah, there must have just been some sort of weird accordion thing happening inside. But we were bringing it in today and they say that with what we've said on the phone, they should have it fixed in a week and a half.
A week and a half?
Not too bad.
Which my friend Paige got into a car accident about a month or so ago. Her car took 4 weeks.
Yep.
For them to fix.
Why?
I don't know.
Everything takes forever now.
I don't know. But so unless they find something, you know, underneath everything that has horrible structural damage or anything.
You never know until you open it up.
Yeah. So we'll see. We bring it in today.
Yeah.
And then we're getting a new car. But Dan's taking the Subaru and then I'm getting a 3-row SUV. And so it's going to be quite the car situation the next month. Because we have to go test drive the different cars that we want to potentially get.
But that was your favorite car ever, wasn't it?
You've had that car for a million years.
I love my Outback. Love it.
That's too bad.
It's 10 years old and it's fantastic.
But now he's going to drive that, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, you'll still be able to drive it once in a while.
I mean, I'm excited to get a 3-row SUV because I drive extra kids around all the time, and we're always having to like shove a car seat between my kids' car seats. And like on Sage's birthday, we had 2 boys. We took them to a bunch of different, like mini golf and nautical bowls and ice cream and stuff. And so Dan had to drive those 2, and I had to drive Fawn and Sage. And so having through SUV will be really nice. We just have to figure out what we're going to get. I want to try the Subaru through SUV, the Ascent, because I love my Subaru so much, but Dan doesn't like the looks of it.
He doesn't?
Which I don't like the looks of it much either. Like, it's not an exciting looking car, but I don't know. I just love my Subaru so much, and I've had such good luck with it that I'm like, why don't we get another Subaru? And the colors it comes in aren't that exciting. I don't know.
Oh, it doesn't come in that green anymore?
Yeah, you can get it in the green, but we're like, we wouldn't get the same color car. I don't know. And I don't want a black car because it shows road salt too much.
It does.
I don't like white cars.
Well, that's like 60% of cars right there.
Most cars are white or cream.
Yes, they are.
Almost every car I've ever had's either been black or white.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty much every car.
Every one of them.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't know. And silver in Minnesota, you just see a lot.
Yeah, silver,
I like blues and greens and like some browns, depending.
Yeah, Melissa wanted a more unusual color, but it's silver was the option.
You get what you get. Yep. The Highlander, which is on our list, although it's the smallest of all 3-row SUVs. Like the 3rd row is pretty tight.
Oh, really?
But it comes in such a pretty color. It's like an emerald green.
Oh, see?
But I don't know. That's like the lowest one on my list because it's so small. I'm like, if we're gonna get a 3-row SUV, we might as well get one that's like has a comfortable 3rd row rather than. He's like, but they're kids. They don't care if it's small. And I'm like, but soon enough they will be larger.
Right.
It's like. And this is another car that we'll probably have for quite a while. So I'm like, think about it. In 10 years, which is as long as we've had the Outback, Fawn will be 18 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Strange to think.
I know. I'm like, we'll have a 16 and 18-year-old, and they're going to have 16 and 18-year-old size friends. And I mean, before that, because what? You get your height at what, like 15?
Yeah, probably about that.
16?
Yeah.
It's like when you stop growing generally.
Yeah, right around there.
14, maybe. I feel like I was my height at like 14.
I was probably, 12, maybe 13.
That's funny because I grew to my full height because I'm 2 inches shorter than I used to be, which I'm not wild about.
Yeah.
But
I've lost half an inch.
I literally grew to over 6 feet tall by the time I was 11. I was a very large baby, 11 pounds, almost 2 feet long. And then I grew to my full height by the time I was about 11, just about to turn 12. But Andy, you said you had pretty much the same experience, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
All right. Well, that is going to do it. I got to track down your mother, find out what the hell she's doing.
Yeah.
She's getting the house ready.
Oh, yeah. We're putting it on the market on Friday, I think.
I'm coming over to load up stuff for Goodwill.
There you go.
Fun for me.
All right. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Every time I hear the same reminds me how you talking my